Once a small, barely noticeable fly like annoyance buzzing around your head, now a 500-pound thong-clad stripper who answers to the name Black Forest squatting on your face. I'm obviously talking about outrage culture. A culture made up exclusively of the world's most sensitive, easily offended, humourless white knights that's growing at a rate that would make most modern religions blush. Because you see, the world is changing, and in my opinion, it's not all good progress. You see, in the rush to punish and call out racism, sexism and all varieties of prejudices, we have created a monster just as bad. A monster that will find racism where none lies, will scream sexism where none was intended, and will take it upon themselves to deem somebody prejudiced on behalf of a different culture or race with an anger that to normal people would inspire more confusion than empathy. And this culture can no longer be ignored. People offended by the colour of a coffee cup is trending on Twitter. People furious at a girl who wears an Asian-inspired dress to her prom is in the news. A man is sentenced guilty in court for hate speech after he jokingly taught his dog to react to Nazi commands. I don't want to overreact, but you can say there's not something seriously fucked going on these days. So rather than tut and roll my eyes at every face-palmable moment thrown at me because somebody decided to have their feelings hurt, I've chosen to make a series of videos talking about and addressing all categories of outrage culture. I may not be able to remedy this or change anything for those pulling the strings, but I can swap their tampons out for party poppers, if you know what I mean. So first on the list, those man-loving humanitarians, radical feminists. Let's begin. So what is feminism? Feminism is the advocacy of human rights on the grounds of equality of the sexes. So it's centered around the idea that men and women should be treated the same in terms of rights and opportunities. For instance, if a man and a woman both work in the same position at a job and there's a promotion coming up, who gets the promotion should be determined by the individual's work and not whether or not they're packing a pump action or a credit card slot. This is something we can surely all get behind. It's right, it's fair, and most of all, it's proper equality. Something in which feminists strive for. But unfortunately, the water has been muddied, and some so-called feminists have gone a bit too far in the opposite direction. Introducing misandrists, more commonly known as radical feminists or feminist extremists. A misandrist is the female equivalent to a misogynist. These are people who very much throw the baby out with the bathwater when it comes to feminism. And in today's video, I'm going to talk about why they're wrong. Well, we all know they're wrong. It's common sense. I just want to throw my 2 cents in and I love the sound of my own voice. Also, given the subject, I'm going to try keep the sexual references to a minimum. Because that'll work.
Anything you can do, I can do better.
I can do anything better than you.
Misandrists tend to have a similar belief to feminists, equal rights for the sexes, which is good. But where they miss the mark is the point where feminism ends and misandrists begin. You see, most rational feminists are seeking equal rights, but acknowledge that though we should be equal, we are different. Men and women are not the same. Men and women, for the most part, have a completely different mentality, a different biology, a different way on how they approach situations in life. Men have a great big cock. Men stand up when peeing. Women sit down. Men have higher amounts of testosterone, which results in more risk-taking and dangerous behaviour. Women have more estrogen, which results in them being more empathetic and better caregivers. Men are more practical thinkers. Women are more emotional thinkers. Each has its pros and cons. And trying to compare the two is like choosing between tits and a hot summer's day and a cold drink. They're not supposed to be compared, but complement each other. But misandrists don't believe that. They believe men should be punished for what they see as evil masculine behaviour, such as spreading your legs or explaining something, better known in their circles as manspreading and mansplaining. They call the gender pay gap sexism and patriarchy that in no way relates to most women choosing to take lower paying or part-time jobs in order to spend more time with their family and kids. They want special treatment rather than proper equality between the sexes. So when a woman is making a sexual advance towards a man, it's flirting, but if a man does the same, it's #MeToo, sexual harassment, and so on. And as infuriating as that is to tolerate for a man when it pops up and interrupts our wank life on a daily basis, men are not actually the victims here.
Anything you can be, I can be greater.
Sooner or later, I'm greater than you.
The victims here are the feminists, the actual feminists, people pushing for equality for women. They're the victims because of misandrists, being the man-hating idiots under the false guise of feminism, going on TV and social media forcing the spotlight on themselves by dyeing their hair like a 16-year-old emo, and saying and doing shit so crazy people can't help but notice, which over time has caused a guilty by association thing with feminists. When you think feminists these days, I've no doubt your first thought was of Big Red, Humongous, or any other vaginal vomit being peddled as feminism, radical feminism, or militant feminism, when in fact it's actually none of the above. It's the opposite. It's sexist. A pack of bored, aging morons who claim to have read the book on feminism, but in reality just use it to stop the wobble on their willy guillotine. Willetine. As a result, they completely undermine, discredit and besmirch everything true feminists and feminism stands for, and have over time poisoned the title people use when they're actually pushing for a good thing. So these days when the petty commoners of the world hear feminist, they instantly think crazy bitch. It'd be like using the Westboro Baptist Church to represent what Christianity is, using insert most relevant Paul brother to represent what YouTube is, or using me to represent a personality who can make a serious video without resorting to childish shoot. Ha! Sexecutioner!
Anyone you can lick, I can lick faster.
I can lick anyone faster than you.
So that is my thoughts on that. If you want more videos like this, leave a like, lets me know whether you guys are into this kind of video or not, and feel free to sound off in the comments about any opinion you have on outrage culture. I know this kind of video is not as comedy centric as my usual stuff, but outrage culture is just causing the world to go the way of helium boobs. Tits up. And it's just pissing me off. Also feel free to share this video if you fancy. These kind of videos and most of the videos I tend to make are not so promotable by YouTube. So word of mouth and sharing is about the only way channels like mine actually grow on the site these days, which is another fucking fantastic result from outrage culture. I'm going for a wank.